This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Sefer Bereishis, Parsha Bereishis, the beginning of the Torah. Before we even begin to learn and delve into the episodes in Parsha Bereishis, I think it's worthwhile, it's kedai to get a little bit of an introduction to what Torah is in general, and the depths and the endless, bottomless greatness of the Torah. And for this we turn to the Biur Hagra. Vilna Gaon was one of the all-time greatest Gedolei Yisrael. We know his yahrzeit was recently on the third day of Sukkot, and he wrote a commentary to one of the classic Sifrei Kabbalah called Safra D'Tzniusa. Safra D'Tzniusa is a closed book for most people. It's and even the commentary of the Vilna Gaon is something which is to the average layman it's incomprehensible. But there are one or two little segments, little paragraphs something that we could all learn something from. First, the Vilna Gaon tells us, this is in the fifth parak of the Gra's commentary to Safra D'Tzniusa. And the Gra tells us something amazing. And this is something that we all have heard, but it's worthwhile to know what's the source of this. Where does this come from? And the Vilna Gaon tells us like this. V'haklal, here's the rule. Ki kol ma shahaya, whatever was, v'hayveh, whatever happens, v'yiyah, whatever will be, right? All past history, all present events, all future history, ad olam, forever, hakoil, kolol, b'Torah, mi Bereishis ad la'inei kol Yisrael. It's all in the whole, it's in the Torah, it's in there. In this document that God gave the Jewish people, any event that ever happened or will ever happen is somehow, somewhere alluded to it, right? Like there's a famous story, the Ramban had a student, right, Avner, who went off the derech, and he wanted to know where he's alluded to, and the Ramban found an allusion to him, Amarti, Afeim, Ashvi, right? Everything is alluded to in the Torah. Now look what he says. V'leiha klalim belvad. Not only the generalities, there's going to be World War II, or there's going to be an establishment of the State of Israel, or there's not just general rules. Ela afilu pratav shel kol min u'min. All the details of every species. V'shel kol adam befrat. Not just of the Jewish people, every individual. Every detail that would happen to any individual is in the Torah. Anything that happened or will happen from the time he's born until his demise, and all of his, either his happenings or all of his galgulim, pratav or prate pratav. Now listen to this. Not only is every detail that will happen to every human being alluded to in the Torah, to every animal. You know, you go over to a duck, duck named Sam, and every quack that Sam ever made is alluded to somewhere in the Torah. V'chein shall kol min behema v'chaya. V'chol b'achai shabam, any living thing. V'chol esav, any plant. V'tzaymech, anything that grows. V'doimim, any rock. Yeah? You want to know what the price of, gold is going to be in the 21st century? You can find it in the Torah. You have to know how to access it. That's the hard part. This is not the Hashem understands, whether it's with the Nekudas or the Trup or the Gematrios or the crowns or the Tilei, the Kutzah Shal Yud. We don't know exactly where and what, but it's there. V'chol prateim, in every detail. Prate prateim, in any minute detail. V'chol minumin, v'yishei aminim, ad la'olam. U'mashiur lehem, what will happen to them b'sharsham. V'chein, kol ma'as shekara ba'avos, u'moshe b'Yisrael. Kulam hein b'chol dar v'dar, shekulam misgalglim nitzotzeim b'chol dar v'dar kiyadua. In other words, whatever happened to the Avos and to Moshe and to Klal Yisrael, they are the pre-enactment of what would happen in future generations. Okay. Now look what he says. Go down. V'chol zeh nichlal kuloi b'parshas Bereishis ad Noach. not only is this all alluded to in the entire Sefer Torah, it's all alluded to in Parshas Bereishis. Because if in fact, whatever happened to Adam HaRishon is the pre-enactment of what will happen to the future of mankind, so really all history of mankind is alluded to in Parshas Bereishis. Now look what he says. B'kalalai nichla b'parsha harishayna. And the generalities are all alluded to in the first Parsha of Parshas Bereishis. In other words, from Bereishis bara Elokim until bara Elokim la'asos, right? Vaychal Elokim hayim Hashem kol nachder asher asa, vayishba yispayim Hashem kol nachder asa, vayvarach Elokim Hashem Hashem vaykadesh osai, ki vayishav Hashem asher bara Elokim la'asos. In other words, not only is everything that will ever happen to any rock or stone or person or anything alluded to in the Torah, not only is it alluded to in Parshas Bereishis, not only is it alluded to, he's saying it's alluded to in the first Parsha of Parshas Bereishis. And not only that...
Anybody else aside from the Gra hold the same opinion?
I don't know. Who could argue on the Gra? Everybody, right? Look what he says. Uklal kilalei haklalim b'pasuk rishayin b'zayin tevais. And really everything is included and alluded to in the very first pasuk of Parshas Bereishis. Bereishis, bara, Elokim, Eis, Hashemayim, V'yes, Ha'aretz. 7 words. How many millennia, right? How many thousands of years are there in creation? There's 7,000 years. Each 1,000-year period is alluded to in a different word in the first pasuk in the Torah. Bereishis, that's the first 1,000 years. Bara, second 1,000. Elokim, third 1,000. Eis, fourth. Hashemayim, fifth. We're up to V'yes. If you wanted to know, where is what's going to happen to us alluded to? It's in the word V'yes.
Some people say Sofa Yomim is going to be the year 6,000, so there's no second millennium.
No, that's, in other words, 6,000 to 7,000. That's whatever that's called. That's, Yimei Mashiach. But that's what the Gra says. It's all alluded to in the very first pasuk in Chumash. Okay? Kamashu Kasafti b'Parak Aleph Shita Alfei Shnin Talyin B'Shata Kadmai. So very important understanding and introduction to Torah in general, and that is the Torah is not merely a history book of what happened from the time of Adam HaRishon until the demise of Moshe Rabbeinu, but in the Torah is a hint to anything that will ever happen to any person, to any animal, to any stone, to any plant. Not only that, it's all alluded to in Parshas Bereishis. Not only that, it's all alluded to in the first Parsha in Parshas Bereishis. And not only that, it's all in the very first pasuk in Parshas Bereishis. Now, let me ask you a question. What?
Doesn't mean it's repeated. It's in the first sentence, and it's in the first Parsha. Is everything repeated in the rest of the Parsha?
In other words, it sounds like he's saying it's more specifically... Parshas Bereishis is more generalities. The first Parsha is even more of the fundamental principles, and the first pasuk carries with it the general principles. But let me ask you a question. Is it merely coincidental that the Gra tells us that Hashem happened to allude to all future events in the Torah? Or is it more basic than that? It's not. The Gra is not just saying that Hashem happened to allude to all future history in the Torah. Hashem used the Torah to create the world.
Stakel Bereishis.
Stakel Bereishis ubara alma. So therefore it has to be that anything that would ever happen to anything in the world has to be alluded to in the Torah. Because if the Torah is the architectural plans for the world, that means the Torah has to contain all future events. So this is not just a miracle that Hashem happened to orchestrate, that anything that would ever happen is alluded to in the Torah. It's more than that. Hashem used the Torah to make all of this happen.
I think there's Rabbi Kaitz who said that the Torah is not the blueprint for it's the DNA.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, why does the bunch need a book, so to speak? Us, we need a book. We need a book.
This is the... so now we're going to get to that idea. And that is, we're going to contrast the idea of the Gra with another very important idea. On the one hand, whatever happens in the world is alluded to in the Torah. Somewhere there. We don't know where. Not everyone is able to access it. But all future discoveries, all technology, even iPhone 5, right? It's there somewhere, right? Where? I don't know. You know? Maybe Apple is the Chet of the Eitz Hadas. Who knows?
Only Steve Jobs found it.
Right?
Steve Jobs found it.
Yeah. But where it is, we don't know. But on the other hand, Rabbi Yerucham, and this is, I do not believe this is printed in the Svarim of Rabbi Yerucham, but this is something sent over from his Talmud, Rabbi Aryeh Zev Gorowitz, Zecher Tzaddik Levracha, the author of the Ma'orei Sha'arim.
Yes, no, the Mashgiach.
In Gateshead. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
That's the right Yerucham, not Yerucham Levavik.
Yeah, Rabbi Yerucham Levavik.
He was the Mashgiach in there.
In the Mir. So his Talmud, Rabbi Gorowitz, he says over from his
Gorowitz is in
Yerucham like
Gateshead.
this. He says like this. He says, whatever is in the Torah is what we need to know. In other words, people want to know, is there a life on Mars? Was that shiny plastic thing that they found, does that mean there are aliens on Mars? Did God create alternative universes? Is there life on other planets? You know what the answer is? Maybe yes, maybe no. But one thing's for sure, it's irrelevant. It's not important. It's not important for our success in this world. You know why? Because if it was important, it would be in the Torah.
So how do we know it's not?
So in other words, whatever God is communicating to us in the Torah in an open way, in a way that we can't comprehend, is that which it is necessary for us to know to be a successful servant of God. And whatever is not opened in the Torah, whatever is not mentioned in the Torah, whether it's the Chumash or the Gemara, that's also a revelation. That's Torah Misinai. Whatever God has revealed to us through the written law or the oral law is what we need to know. And whatever He has not revealed to us, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. It may be there, as we said, everything is alluded to in the Torah. But if it's not revealed to us in an open way, it's not something that's essential for our success. So Rabbi Yerucham used to say, is there life on Mars? Yeah. Other nisht. But it makes no difference. Why? Because if it made a difference, guess what? Hashem would have told us about it.
know it's not there in these.
So that's what we're saying, that if we don't have access to it.
Difference, that means it's not in the
We haven't been able to discern all the hidden things that are in the Torah. I mean, the Torah says
Correct.
Everything's alluded to, but we
Correct.
have to have the capabilities to be able to understand.
So
Hashem may have communicated, but communication also means you have an understanding of what was communicated. But we don't have that understanding.
But so what Rabbi Yerucham is saying is that despite the fact that everything is there, but part of communication is that he said, I told you, I didn't understand what you're saying. What do you mean you don't understand? Yeah, part of communication is expressing the information in a way that the other person understands. So there is a strong element of Torah, and that is God is communicating to us. He understands and He knows what we will derive from the Torah. So whatever is derived through either the open Chumash or the Gemara is that which is essential for our success. Other things, you want to theorize about this, about that. It might be there, it might not be there. But one thing is for sure, it's not essential for us, for our existence.
The Kabbalim have a higher understanding of what's alluded to.
Yeah.
And that's where they get their information.
But even us non-Mekubalim, we are able to be successful Jews without knowing all these secrets. Because whatever Hashem felt was important for us to know, He communicated to us. That's what He says. V'nei shamati mi'hagoyin Rabbeinu Yerucham mimir. He used to say, Kol ma sheniten lanu b'Torah, whatever is given to us in the Torah, hu rak ma shenochatz lanu l'tachlis, is only what's important for us for a purpose. Hein hayediyos, whether it's to know something, or halimudim, or certain lessons. Uchvar hevi al zemi divei harambam. Rabbi Yerucham cited the Rambam, Shekasav. The Rambam writes the following: Shem ra'isa davar midivei chazal shenir lecha shu chachma ba'alma shabal hashmiyanu. if let's say you read a Gemara and the Gemara seems just to be telling me some kind of trivial piece of trivia information, you should know you're not understanding what the message is, because the purpose of the Torah is not just to give you trivia tidbits. Every specific detail in the Torah is something that is essential for us to know and to learn from. And if we're not learning anything from it, we're entitled to ask, what is Hashem trying to teach me over there? The Teda, you should know that if you don't understand the lesson, Shloi kivanta kavanas devreim, you're not understanding the message. Kikol devreim himrak letachlis. Whatever the Torah tells us is for a purpose. Lalamdenu, to teach us, hayediyos, hanechutzos lanu, the information that's necessary for us, oy lahadrichenu baderach, or to guide us on the right path.
But sometimes you're waved away.
What?
Certain subject matters, you're waved away.
From the understanding?
Yeah.
So maybe there's certain things that the purpose of it is to know that there's certain things you don't understand. But everything we're entitled to ask, what is the tachlis of this piece of information? There's no information that's given just for intellectual stimulation. Everything has a lesson in terms of bringing us closer to Hashem. And listen to this. I heard that he once added, if someone would ask me, Mars, right? There is any living being on that. You see? He had Ruach HaKodesh.
He doesn't call it a planet.
Was it downgraded?
Huh?
Has it been downgraded yet? No, I think right now it's still a planet, right?
Not a star.
Yeah. Oimer, Rabbi Yochanan would say, She'efsher. Could be. Be'efsher yesh gam sham anoshim. It could be there are people on Mars. It could be there are men on Mars. Be'efsher afilu shenitin lahem sham Torah min hashamayim. It could be God gave them a Torah. Avalanu ein hadavar hazeh noigea klal ukal. But to us, it matters nothing. Why? Ki ilu haya noigea lanu l'tachliseinu. If it made a difference to us, haisa ha-Torah ha-kedosha ay-chazal megalim lanu. If it mattered to us, if in order to be a better Jew, we needed to know if there was life on Mars, the Torah would have told us there's life on Mars. The fact that Torah did not tell us that there's life on Mars means we can be wonderful Yidden without knowing that there's life on Mars. So it doesn't mean that there isn't, it just means it's not necessary for our...
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.